Buongiorno everyone, welcome back to Lineup Predictions here on the Magpie Channel TV. We'll be covering tomorrow night's game at home against Sheffield United. First time. Feel a little bit emotional talking about it. Fans are back in the stadium. 10,000 fans will be in the stadium tomorrow night. If you've got a ticket, congratulations, because we couldn't get one. Bit of a stinker. Had a mare, made some phone calls, couldn't get one. So if you've got a ticket, congratulations. But yeah, the game will be on 6 p.m. on Sky Sports. Wednesday night kickoff, 6 o'clock, Sky Sports against bottom of the league, Sheffield United. Obviously, January played Sheffield. At the time, they had 2 points on the board. 2 draws all season, no wins. Play Newcastle. Step right up. Fancy 3 points? Play Newcastle. Sort your clean out, son. So yeah, we lost that game. Awful performance. One of the lowest points of the season, in my opinion. Got beat 1-0 down at Bramall Lane. Fucking absolute shit out of that. So we can't be having any of that tomorrow night. They're now on 20 points. I was actually looking at the league before and they actually haven't even drawn since then. Obviously, they had 2 draws at that point, 2 points on the board, and they currently now still have 2 draws, but 6 wins on the board. We were the first one. They've now got 6. They've actually won 2 in the last 5 games. The last one just being the last outing on Sunday against Everton. A 1-0 win there. 17-year-old Daniel Jebison got a goal. I think he made his debut only the week beforehand. I just heard of him for the first time the week before last. So, yeah, Daniel Jebison, maybe you want to look out for, maybe one for the future, who knows. Last time at St. James's, though, we got a 3-0 result. It was the first game after the project restart. Great performance now. I was actually shitting myself 2 seconds there. I just need to try and sort something out, so first game after project restart, I was nervous about that one because obviously we weren't in good form. We weren't really in very good form up until lockdown. But yeah, like a couple of months out, I was nervous. Like Sheffield were in really, really good form up until that point as well. I think they were like 6th in the league after the restart. Come to play in Newcastle. We beat them down there earlier in the season. It was 2-1 win. 6th in the league, playing really, really well, Sheffield, and we got a 3-0 result. Even Joe Linton got on the score sheet that game. So I'm optimistic now. Obviously, Sheffield's had an awful season. Rock bottom of the Premier League, which is where they'll finish. Relegated already, been that way for a long, long time. Even in January, I think maybe that win against us was maybe the spark that they needed to try and do the miraculous, which didn't happen. I think they got a win against Arsenal a week or 2 after that as well. Like they started to pick up decent form. But yeah, only 20 points so far. It's obviously not good enough to stay in the Premier League. 6 wins, 2 draws, not good enough for them. So I haven't really heard of any injury news on their front, to be fair. I had a little look before, but all that we're really talking about was Daniel Jebison, the new 17-year-old coming through. So yeah, have a look out for him. Have a look in the comments, see what you're saying. Hello, Andrew Grinch. Thank you very much for that. Sky Sports. It just says 6 o'clock kickoff live on Sky. Hello, Thomas. I hear you've got a ticket, mate. Come and see you later on because we will be at the ground with news at the end on what's going to happen tomorrow with the watch along, etc. I'll explain it all at the end, so stay tuned. Hello, Jonathan. How are you and Matty doing? Coming to the match tomorrow night? Yes, we are. We will be at the match tomorrow night. As I said before, I couldn't get a ticket, but I'll announce everything that's going to happen tomorrow at the end of this video, so stay tuned. So we're going to jump into Newcastle team news then. And firstly, what Brucey said was about Elliot Anderson. Young Elliot Anderson, I've seen a lot of fans wanting to give him a chance. Rotate, because we're not playing for anything now. It's gone. Like Sheffield are going to finish rock bottom. We're going to finish in a bracket 13th at best, maybe even 17th at worst. So it's a bit of a dead game. But for me, I'll talk about Elliot Anderson first anyway. So he's got a bad hip anyway. He's been out for the last few weeks, really. He's had a bit of an injury. Bruce says he's got a bad hip. He trained yesterday for the first time in 8 days. He says the lad's desperate to be involved, and obviously you can't blame him. But Bruce says we'll see how he is. I'm not going to risk it if he's still sore. Like, it's not necessary. I'd love to see the lad get a go. Obviously, it would be his first time playing for the first team at St James's Park in front of a crowd. It would be a huge moment for him. Obviously, the pressure's off. We're not really playing for anything, so it would be class to see Elliot Anderson be given a shot. But if he's not fit, why risk it? It's not really necessary at this point. Like, I'm sure he's going to have a good career. He'll have a shot next season where we could have a full capacity of fans. So yeah, we'll see about that one. But I want to play the best possible team. I want to take this as seriously as possible. Like, I know there's nothing to play for, but for us, that is still kind of something to play for, and it's not just pride. I think pride's a big thing for me, but we can't finish as high as 13th, anywhere between 13th and 17th. That's quite a big gap. Like, you obviously don't want to finish 17th. Maybe it's even 16th. On 17th, on paper, you're just above the relegation zone. You've survived, but is that good enough? It's not for me. I don't want to finish 17th. I want to finish as high as possible. I want to fight for the next 2 games for pride to get as high up in the league as possible. 13th is, in fact, 12th isn't impossible, but on goal difference, it's going to be a major ask. Obviously, there's got to be quite a few upsets. I think Wolves, Southampton, Palace, and that they're going to have to lose the last 2 games, and we're going to have to win them, which against Sheffield United and Fulham isn't too much to ask for. But 13th is what I'm looking for. I want to finish 13th. I want to still take it seriously, play the best possible team. Don't need to rate it too much. I've seen people saying want to see the likes of, obviously, Matty Longstaff. So do I. I've been saying it all season for the last 2 years. I want to see Matty Longstaff, but that's probably not going to happen. The likes of Manquillo, Jamal Lewis, a few fringe players, maybe Andy Carroll, Dwight Gale, just mix it up a little bit. On one hand, I agree. Like, why not? But that's fans there. First time, I think, since January last year. Almost a year and a half we haven't had fans at St James's Park. 10,000 people were lucky enough to get tickets. So put on a show, put on a performance, do the best we can. Like, it's Sheffield United. It's a great performance to embarrass them, really, to get revenge from them beating us and embarrassing us in January. So let's go out and embarrass them. They're bottom of the league. They've got nothing to play for. They're already embarrassed enough. Just can't fucking hand it to them. Show them what we can do. So I want to play our best possible team. So even if Elliot Anderson was fit, I'd love to see the kid given a chance, but I still want to play the best possible team. Brucey spoke about Isaac Hayden and Ryan Fraser. Last week, I brought you news that they'd been seen back in training. So there was thought maybe, obviously not last week's game, but maybe the Sheffield game, more likely the Fulham game at the end of this week. We might have seen Hayden and Fraser back, but Brucey's pretty much ruled that out. He says, I can't see them playing again for the rest of the season. They haven't even joined in full training yet. They've obviously just been running little drills as of last week before the Man City game. I've seen pictures of them on the training fields, but it must have just been for fitness or whatever. But he says they're both raring to go, but there's only 5 days left in this season. Obviously, the Fulham game, last game on Sunday, only 5 games to go until the end of the season. So he says, why risk it? Same with Elliot Anderson. Why risk it? If they're not fully fit, there's no point at this stage in the season. So unlikely we'll see Hayden and Fraser in the last 2 games. If Anderson shows some fitness in the next few days in training, he might get a shot at Fulham. Like, we'll have to wait and see about that one. I'm going to take a little bit of a drink because I've got a dry throat. Wow, sorry about that one. Yeah, the other candidates that we know, Jamal Lascelles, Carl Darlow, and Callum Wilson are all out. Wilson's definitely out, as we mentioned a few days ago. But with Jamal Lascelles and Carl Darlow, I'm not too sure about Darlow, but especially Lascelles, since his injury, since he went down, they were looking at him returning by the end of the season. I think even Lascelles, he was slightly optimistic. He didn't want to rule himself out for the rest of the season, but there's been no word of him returning for this game. And like I say, with only 5 games to go for the Fulham game, and he's not back in full training yet, it's unlikely we'll see him for the rest of the season as well, I would have thought. And Fabian Schär will also serve the final game of his 3-match suspension. So Schär is out, but is available for Fulham. So that's Anderson likely out, Hayden and Fraser definitely out, as well as Lascelles, Darlow, Schär, and Wilson. So coming back into the comments then before I show you my starting 11 prediction. Hello, Ross. Do you think Matty Longstaff should start? I've been saying it all season. As I mentioned before, I'm a fan of Matty Longstaff. I'm raging that he's not getting an opportunity. Does me head in. Really, really pisses us off that he's not getting much game time. But I think I also said, I don't know if it was for the City one or the Leicester lineup prediction, but Brucey spoke about them and he says, like, I don't know if he's fucking waffling on because we know how Brucey does, but he says, like, it's not that he's been left out. Like, he's had, like, little niggly injuries all season, like an ankle injury here, a hamstring there that's kept him up for, like, a week here, a week there, a month here, a month there. So he hasn't just been fully fit, but he says now that he is, like, he's getting there. He's on the verge of a big return, but obviously it's too late now. It's the end of the season, so he might just be covering his own back there. He might just be talking absolute shite. It's a little bit bright on the old face, that, like, does that make a difference? No. So yeah, I think Bruce is just talking shit, really. So I'd love to see Matty Longstaff start, really, really would. But yeah, I hope he does. I hope he does, but it's unlikely as we're about to get into. Thomas, I will see you at St James's Park, mate. Me and Renty will be there, circling the ground an hour or two before and after kickoff. We'll be circling, so come and find us, mate. Say hello. We'll be doing some end of season videos as well, so come jump on if you fancy, mate. Atsu, definitely not. That's one fringe player I don't want to be seeing. Do you think if fans were allowed in around March, do you think Steve Bruce? It's a very good question. And I actually do. I think the pressure would have been on him massively. I think Mike Ashley would have had to have taken action if obviously we were in the ground throwing fucking cabbages off his bonds. But I think Ashley's got a plan with Steve Bruce, and I think he's going to see it through till next season. It's my contention that Bruce would still be in a job next season, even if we got relegated. I think, from what I believe, I'm sure he signed a 3-year contract, so next season would be his last year. And pretty much what he done with Rafa. He didn't get on with Rafa. They clashed because Rafa wanted to do things that Ashley didn't. So I think he would have sacked Rafa if it didn't cost him money. Like, he's going to have to pay him, I think it was £3 million or something to get rid of Bruce. So obviously Mike Ashley's a tight cunt. So nah, I don't think Bruce would have been sacked. I do still think he would be here, yeah. I think he would still be here if there was fans, if there was no pandemic. I think he would still be here. And even if we got relegated, I still think he'd be here next year. So, yeah. Do you think Jetro will come for free? I do, actually. If we're going to pay his wages, obviously, I don't know why we haven't signed him earlier. I'm sure he's been available for the last year or two for as much as like 7 million. And from the short loan spell that we had him, obviously he got injured last January, so only really had half a season with him. He was amazing. Why we haven't just coughed up that money? I don't even think he was on mega wages either. Maybe it's 50 grand or something. It's not loads in the Premier League current market. 50 grand a week for a player of his quality. 7 million transfer. I don't know why hasn't been here sooner. But if he's available for free, that's obviously Mike Ashley's favourite price. Free, lovely, lovely stuff that is. And I do think he'd want to come. For some reason, Jetro's got a mad love affair with Newcastle. He has from way back in the day when Gini Wijnaldum used to play here. He used to come to games. He's always been proper eager to come to Newcastle. I think even before we got him on that loan spell, we'd been linked with him for about 5 years prior. I thought the kid was like 33 years old. Seems like he's been around for ages, but I think he's only like 26, 27 or something. So if he's available for free, obviously Mike Ashley will probably be interested in that. And I definitely think Jetro Williams would be interested in coming back. So yeah, I do. Heard Mike Ashley's got tomorrow night. Great. Fuck him. If anyone's got extra cabbages, throw one up his way now in the director's box, the prick. So I'm going to get into the lineup there, then I'll check back in with comments shortly. And my prediction is pretty simple. I'll go through it a little bit more in a second, but I'm going for an unchanged side from the Man City win. I think that's pretty standard. I think this team, since we've reverted to this team, the 5 at the back formation, it's worked wonders, even without certain players. Before Callum Wilson was back fit, even when Joe Willock was being benched for obscure reasons and coming on as a late sub, I think it's worked really, really well. So I'll go into it in a little bit more depth now. Obviously, Dubravka is the main man. Emil Kraft, I think he deserves to start. That's basically the one change that I'm going to make from last week, really. I said, was it the Leicester game? Clark was a surprise absence. I don't think anybody expected it. I think Bruce spoke about it before the game and said it was a forced change that he didn't want to make. It must have just been the last day in training, or maybe it's just before the game. Clark picked up a little injury, so dropped to the bench for Emil Kraft. And Kraft had a great game against Leicester, and I predicted that nothing was said in the Man City preview that Clark would still be injured. So I predicted that, well, if he's fit, then he's going to come back and take Kraft's spot. But Kraft got the nod once more. Clark on the bench, and Kraft had a great game and got his goal, opened the scoring against Man City. If you open your account as a centre-back against Man City with the performances defensively that he's been putting in for the last 2 games, then he deserves that spot for me. I'm quite happy to keep Clark on the bench. As long as Kraft's performing, then great. Last time out was seeing Kieran Clark, he had probably the worst game of his career against Liverpool, had an absolute howler. So for now, yeah, I'm over the moon to keep Emil Kraft in, alongside Federico Fernandez and Paul Dummett, who will be making his 200th appearance should he play, which he probably likely will. So congratulations, Dum Dum. 200 appearances as an academy kid. It's quite an achievement. So congratulations to you. Been a huge player since we've been changing things around. Like, he wasn't really anybody's favourite player at the start of the season, was he? But he's come in this late period where we've been picking up some great results, and he's been key. Obviously got a goal and a great performance against Leicester last week. So, yeah, Dummett can start again alongside Federico Fernandez and Emil Kraft, with Jacob Murphy and Matt Ritchie as the wing-backs as per. A couple of changes, maybe. I wouldn't be opposed to a couple of changes. Like I say before, people have been wanting the likes of Javier Manquillo and Jamal Lewis to come in. I think Jamal Lewis especially has got something to prove. He hasn't really been great this season, as he's been somewhat of a disappointment of a signing, because he came with such huge pressure, like a lot of responsibility, a lot of expectancy. £15 million signing, hotly tipped youngster from Norwich. Even Liverpool had bids rejected for him in the summer, so he's been a bit of a disappointment. So I would like to see him get another chance, but Matt Ritchie's been pinnacle in our recent form. Matt Ritchie's the guy. So as long as everybody's fit and healthy, as I say, I want to put on a show for the fans. I want the 10,000 fans to have a good day. We're playing bottom of the league. It's an opportunity to score some goals and entertain. We haven't really been entertained much as fans over the last year or two. Even just watching from home, it's probably been less entertaining, in fact. So now the fans can get there, put on a show, play our best team possible. That's fit, best team possible, and yeah, give it to them. In the midfield, John Joe Shelvey, unfortunately, and Joe Willock. I'll say Shelvey, unfortunately. Like, I'm not even going to go into it too much. If you watch the channel, then you know my opinion on John Joe Shelvey, and everybody else is really Renty, Kendall, everybody that speaks about him, just not consistent enough, not as energetic enough, a little bit too lazy for my liking. And Joe Willock, could be his last appearance. Could be. His loan's coming to an end. Sunday will probably be the last appearance, but I just want to say to those that are going to this game, if you are one of the 10,000 that got a ticket, just enjoy it, embrace it, and don't take anything for granted. Like, it's the last game of the season at home on Sunday, playing away to Fulham. We'll probably be wearing an away kit, so this very well might be the last time we'll see a few of these players in the black and white and at St James's. And you've been fortunate enough to get a ticket on the final day of the season to see that. Joe Willock's likely to be one. The likes of Saint-Maximin, Almiron, Wilson. There's quite a few out of contract. Federico Fernandez is out of contract. Jacob Murphy's out of contract. I think Andy Carroll and Dwight Gale are as well. So if you're there and you're seeing these players, honestly, embrace it, because you don't know if this is going to be the last time you ever see them. Obviously, we're hotly tipped with bringing Joe Willock in. He should be the number one target, but it's Mike Ashley, man. Is he going to spend that money? I think the more and more he's scoring goals and the better his performances, I think Arsenal are going to be more inclined to keep him or up his transfer value. And if it is 30, 35 million, is Mike Ashley going to spend that money? I don't think so. So we'll maybe be able to get him back in on loan for a full year loan. But I'm just saying, embrace it and enjoy it, because you never know. I'll tell you a little story about last game of the season 2 years ago, where we also played Fulham away. Me and Renty down there, obviously pre-COVID, everyone was allowed to have away days. Remember those? They were absolutely class. That one was actually one of my favourites. Last game of the season, Fulham were already relegated. They were rock bottom of the table 2 years ago. They had nothing to play for. And we went down there, and the only player that we expected to leave after that was Isaac Hayden. Because if you remember 2 seasons ago, he didn't. He was going through some personal problems. I just don't think he'd adapted to life in the Northeast. I think he was missing family. I think he was missing London. Like, he openly spoke about it. And earlier in the season, his performances were garbage, and it looked like he was trying to force a move away. So he was frozen out with the team, and fans were over the moon. Fans didn't even want to see him in the starting lineup because of his behaviour. Like, there's one thing wanting to leave, which is fine, and then there's not performing when you're getting paid to. But I think around about Christmas time, I think Shelby took an injury. We had Mo Diarmi and Ki Sung Young. They were our top midfielders. That's what brought Isaac Hayden back to the starting lineup, as well as Sean Longstaff. That's where he made his big break. And for the second half of the season, Hayden was incredible. Really, really good. And that's when everyone fell in love with him. But he still hadn't signed a new contract or anything. He still never confirmed that he was staying. So I remember that game he played at right back for some reason. And he got taken off, and it was quite emotional. I didn't know if it was because we're quite a few beers deep by that point in the second half, but he got taken off. He walked slowly towards the dugout. He was looking towards the fans, applauding us. We were applauding him, singing "There's only one Isaac Hayden." And honestly, it got really emotional because we become really attached to him. And it was almost like a dead cert that he was going to leave, but he actually didn't. What we didn't know is that was Rafa's last game. We never even considered that Rafa might be leaving. Even Rondon, who was on loan, that's a good example. We thought we would bring him back. Didn't want to pay the 16 million buyout clause. Didn't want to bring him back for another loan deal. Maybe send Dwight Gale back to West Brom as part of the deal to sweeten it. Didn't happen. So last time we've seen Rafa. Last time we've seen Rondon, Perez, Diarmi. There was quite a few gone from that game that we didn't expect. Isaac Hayden was the only one. So message to those tomorrow night. Enjoy it. Embrace it. Keep it in the memory because, yeah, the likes of Willock especially, Saint-Maximin might be the very, very last time you see them in a black and white shirt. Not to put it down or anything, but I'm just saying, enjoy the moment while you can. So obviously Joe Willock's going to start. Needs to play for the fans. We want to see him. Unfortunately, obviously, I say we're not going to be there, but fans want to see him in the black and white shirt at St. James's. Hopefully get a couple of goals again. 5 in 5 for him. First time someone's done that since, was it Papi Cissé or Demba Ba? Like 2012, 2013, first time someone's got 5 goals in 5 consecutive games for the club. So hopefully he can make it 6 in 6. And the front line, of course, Miguel Almiron, Joe Linton, and Saint-Maximin. Saint-Maximin, obviously, the main man. As long as he's fit, you know he's going to be there. And I'm jealous of you lot being able to see Saint-Maximin again in the flesh. Almiron, I've been a little bit critical of him over the past few weeks. His end product, his productivity getting forward hasn't been fantastic, but the last couple of games especially has been really, really good. I think he had a good game against Man City, so hopefully he's back in form now. Would love to see him get a goal. And Joe Linton, of course, he's banging confidence now. As I say, he scored after the restart against Sheffield United at the end of after the restart. Scored a great penalty. You don't understand how much I hate penalties when people just don't blast them in the corners. Like these little Panenkas, the little tap-ins, the little fucking jumps that like Bruno Fernandes and Jorginho do. One's me clean up. I like a good old Shearer penalty. I think Harry Kane at the minute is one of the best penalty takers in the league for me. But like, I think everyone, when Joe Linton put that ball down, once we got the penalty and realised Joe Linton was taking it, I think everyone was like, oh no, fucking hell. Because we were still 2-1 down at that point. You know, honestly, side netting with power. Perfect penalty. That shows you how confident he is. I think maybe Joe Willock with his penalty was a little bit overconfident. 5 goals in 5 games. Harry Willock's son, just, you know, just take a penalty properly, mate. Didn't have the power, didn't have the accuracy. Joe Linton's did. It was absolutely incredible. So, yeah, as long as Wilson's out, I'm happy to keep Joe Linton in. I think he's been banging confidence. I think he's heads up. I think he's been playing really, really well over the past month or two. Got a few goals. I think he's got 4 or 5 goals or something now. Yeah, much better performances. So that's the starting 11 there anyway, as I mentioned. And I'm just going to, before I go any further, just go back into the comments there. I would get Manquillo over Murphy because he's been a bit shit lately. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but I think just in this formation, I think Murphy's been great. And as I mentioned before, he's at the end of his contract. Jacob Murphy hasn't been renewed as of yet. Would love to see him back though. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Manquillo. I'm not opposed to it, but I just think with the way things have been going since we changed that formation, went back to a back five with Murphy and Ritchie as the wing backs, we've had a lot more productivity, a lot more creativity. Decent defensively. Murphy's not the best defender by any means, but I think he's adapted very, very well to that wing back formation. So yeah, whatever it is, I'm not too bad. What will happen to Lejeune? That's a good question, because if he does come back, we'll have to sell one of our defenders. Well, as I mentioned before, Federico Fernandez is out of contract, so I don't know. We'll have to wait and see with that one. We might want to try and bring someone else in. I'd like to think we're going to keep Fernandez, though. I'd like him to get a new contract. I think he's earned it, and I think he deserves it. But yeah, I think Lejeune could be a big player when he comes back. Whether we keep all of them or not, if we bring someone else in or not, I don't know. But I'm looking forward to having Lejeune back, because we haven't really had many options at the minute. Like, we've been kind of stuck with, not necessarily being stuck, but like Kraft, Fernandez and Dummett over the past couple of months. We haven't really had any other option. Like, Isaac Hayden filled in at centre-back a lot this season, but obviously he's been out for a long time. Lascelles has been out. Shaw's been out. Shaw came back from an 11-week injury and got a fucking red card straight away. So we haven't really had a lot of options at centre-back, so I would love Lejeune to come back just as an extra option. Haven't got the Man United match on, actually. I forgot that it's on. Yeah, Man United 1-0 up against Fulham. 100% Mags, go and check them out. How's it going? I think we'll score 3 or more goals against Sheffield. Me too, mate. I'm going to come to a score prediction at the end. I'm going to run through my bench in a second. But yeah, I fancy we to get a few goals as well. Whereabouts? We'll be circling before the game, and then at full time we'll probably be around just outside the front, like by the club shop, Shiraz Bar. We'll be around about there. So come say hello. We'll be doing some videos as well. So if you want an interview, come get on it. Do you not think that French players? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be. I just want to say we'll play our best team. Like, we're fighting for position. Like, the season's practically over. We're not going to get top 10. We're not going to get Europe, but there's about 5 spaces, which Mike actually especially should be going for, because I'm sure you get 1.5 to 2 million in prize money per position. Like, that's quite a bit. That's a bit of a chunk. Like, I don't want to finish 17th. I don't just want to throw the under-23s team in and just bottle the games, because we will finish 17th. On paper, that's not pretty. You don't want to finish just above the relegation zone. I want to finish as strongly as possible. So that's why I want to play the best possible team. Like, we could rotate a little bit, like, no disrespect, but Sheffield's obviously bottom. Fulham's not very good. Like, they've both been relegated for obvious reasons. They deserve it. They just haven't been good enough. But I want to show them enough respect. I don't just want to put out a shitty team or fringe players, not necessarily a shitty team, but like fringe players, and just go out and lose the game, like, especially in front of the fans. First time in a year and a half that fans can be there. I want to show. I want performance. I want a few goals. I want the best team, and I don't want to play with the team for the sake of it. Like, it's still a competitive fixture at the end of the day. It's not a pre-season friendly. There's points still available. So yeah, best team available for me. Wish we would have kept Rondon, absolutely. Murphy, Duggan, and Kez. Yeah, I agree with that. Would be a nice forward attack. I think he links in very, very well. Hopefully Anderson can play. I hope he does. I hope at least he can get on the bench. Obviously, I don't expect him to start with him just coming back from an injury, so he's not going to be in the starting 11. But if he can make the bench, if he's fit enough for probably Fulham, as I said before, I don't think he's going to be fit enough for this game, the Sheffield game. He's just trained yesterday for the first time in 8 days, so I wouldn't expect him to be on the bench for the Sheffield game, but maybe Fulham on Friday we could look into. Speaking of benches, going to run through mine. Got Mark Gillespie as the goalkeeper to cover for the injured Carl Darlow. Javier Manquillo could get a start. Jamal Lewis could get a start. Emil Kraft could maybe be rotated for Kieran Clark. Who knows? He might get a start. Jeff Hendrick hopefully doesn't get a start. Talking about fringe players. Yeah, I want to see some fringe players in, but not Jeff Hendrick. Same goes for Sean Longstaff. He's had plenty of opportunities over the last couple of months. He was starting when Joe Willock was on the bench. Had to use him as a super sub. Done okay in bits. Probably been the best form he's been on in the last year and a half, 2 years since Rafa left, but still not good enough for me. Had moments, very, very brief moments. but gassed out really in the second half. Like decent. I'm saying decent. I'm not saying good. Decent first half performances completely vanished in the second half, and that's why we need to bring Willock on to save the game. Matty Longstaff, absolutely hope to get some minutes out of Matty. I'd love to see him start in place of Shelvey. If I was going to pick a team, if I was going to do what I would want to do, Shelvey wouldn't be in my starting 11. Matty would. So hopefully we can see some minutes from him as well. He deserves it. Andy Carroll, could be the last time we'll see him in a black and white shirt at St. James's. He's obviously out of contract and is hotly tipped to not be asked back. So the second spell of his Newcastle career could be coming to an end. So I'd like to see him. I'd love to see him get a goal in front of fans because he never got one. He only scored the one goal in his second spell here. He's been here for 2 seasons. Got one goal in I think it was a home game against. It was home at Leicester earlier in the year. Obviously not in front of fans, and a last minute consolation didn't even mean anything. So I'd love to see Carroll get some minutes in front of the crowd and try and get a goal. And Dwight Gale as well. I'm sure Dwight Gale might be at the end of his contract. I know they were talking a couple of weeks about him renewing. Did he renew? I can't remember if he did or not. I think they were just talking about it. I think if we were going to get relegated, which at the time it was looking very, very likely, I think they were maybe looking at Dwight Gale to get a new contract to be the leading striker really next year if we were going to lose the likes of Callum Wilson. But yeah, I don't really know what the crack with Dwight Gale is. If he leaves, he leaves. I'm not really overly that concerned about Dwight Gale, to be fair. So that's my lineup prediction there then, guys. Jump back into these 100% mags. Not a problem, mate. Anytime. Don't see why I shouldn't score more than 3 against them, to be fair. They haven't been very good this season. I think they've... Yeah, I do as well. I think obviously the Wilder situation was a bust up with the owners more than getting sacked. I'm pretty sure the owner said that they wanted to keep him and they trusted him to bring them back up from the inevitable relegation and then next season in the championship. So yeah, I was surprised that he got let go, but I think it was more of a mutual decision and a disagreement with the owners. Oh my God, Jeff Hendrick, Bentleb, didn't even fucking tag with Bentleb. Jesus Christ, can't be asked that cunt. I'm pleased that he's away. I'm pleased they didn't bring him back. Jesus Christ. So yeah, that's mine, guys. That's my lineup prediction and score prediction as 100% Mags asked for. I'm going 3 goals. I think 3-1. That's my score prediction. It was 3-1 after the restart, as I said before. Last season at home at St. James's, it was a 3-0 win. I think it can be the same. I'm going to go for a 3-0, maybe a 3-1. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt in getting a goal, but nah. Strong team, strong performance, 3 or plus goals, as 100% Mag said. Yeah, get the goals, get the performance. I want to see it. What was saying down here, 4-1 to the Mags. Kelly says 3-0. I hope so. 3-0, 3-1. That's mine. Bordering on that. Not too sure. But yeah, tomorrow there will be no watch-along. First time this season that we won't be bringing you a watch-along. It's been an unbelievable season. So thank you very much to everyone that's been involved and watched the games along with us. It's been fun. It's been a mad season. I'm actually delighted to get it over with because it's been some watch-alongs. I've just been sitting there thinking, can I fucking turn my camera off? Can I turn the telly off, more importantly? I'm quite happy to sit here and talk to you, so I just don't want to watch these games. But recently it's been fun. The City game, full of entertainment. The Leicester game, incredible. Liverpool, Tottenham, West Ham, Burnley. We've had some really good games lately, so got me spirit back a little bit, so I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, the Sheffield game will be the only game of the season. We won't be bringing you a watch-along. It will be back on Sunday for the Fulham game. Obviously, with it being away, we can't be there. So, yeah, no watch-along tomorrow, guys, as we will be going to St. James's. As I said before, me and Renty will be at the ground doing some end-of-season questions with the fans, doing some fan cams as well. If you're there, come say hello, jump on the camera if you want to. If not, just come say hello. Always happy to talk to you. We'll be around about the ground before the game, just floating around, just trying to see if we can catch anyone. After the game, we'll be around about outside Shearer's bar / club shop. So, yeah, come say hello. So that's the situation there anyway. No watch along tomorrow. We'll be at the game, but not at the game. We'll be watching it in a pub somewhere. We'll find ourselves a seat because you can get in pubs now these days. Did you know about that? 100% Max is 3-0. 2-0 Ethan. Yes, mate, go to the pub. Going to watch it live. So it's it's gonna be quite nice just to watch a game instead of having to worry about like the editing and stuff and that. It's gonna be weird. I'm gonna be every time there's a goal, I'm gonna be looking for the laptop to do some edits. But no, it's gonna be nice to just chill out, me and Rent, eat a couple of beers. Just yeah, it's gonna be class. I'm looking forward to it. 4-0, big one. That's a big one. That's why I want to play a good team. I don't want to fucking Sheffield to do the double over. It's like when Derby got relegated. I think did they win draw with I think, or did they do the double? I can't remember. So yeah, we need to rectify things. Can't be letting them beat Witt again. Like no chance. 2-1 win, 3-1. Right, that's it for me then, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate you as always. Don't forget to like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you haven't already, what you're doing, please smash that red button. And drop in the comments your score prediction and your lineup prediction. Always look forward to seeing those. And we'll see you tomorrow if you're there. If not, we'll see you on Sunday. Enjoy yourself.